What's up everyone, Darcblade here with my video review of Dragon Age Inquisition. Developed by BioWare and published by EA, Dragon Age Inquisition was released between the 21st and 24th of November 2014, depending where you lived in the world. It was released for PC, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. For the purpose of this review though, I will be reviewing the console version, but a lot of what I say does apply for the PC versions too. Now, Dragon Age Inquisition is a fantasy action RPG, and the third major chapter in the Dragon Age universe. It follows the events of Dragon Age Origins, Origins Expansion, which is Dragon Age Awakening, and Dragon Age 2. However, can Dragon Age Inquisition combine all the events of the previous titles into an epic masterpiece? It will be tough, especially after the success of Dragon Age Origins and the disappointment of Dragon Age 2 for some people. Now, Dragon Age Inquisition's story is not newcomer friendly. There are a lot of terms, phrases and meanings that will go over new players' heads. This being said, I would advise doing a little bit of research or even going back and experiencing the previous installments, as they are worth playing. I will also try to avoid late game spoilers in this review. The story of Dragon Age Inquisition takes place 10 years after the last Blight, which was the main story arc of Dragon Age Origins. The events of Dragon Age 2 have spurred a full war between the Mages and Templars, with neither side gaining ground against the other. It has also come to a point in this war where the Chantry's Divine has called representatives to a conclave of light to discuss peace talks. Depending on what race and class you are also attending the conclave for a variety of reasons. However, things go terribly wrong, and before talks can even take place, the conclave of light is destroyed, killing everyone. Everyone bar you. You are the only survivor who steps out of the breach the conclave of light explosion has created in the sky. You, however, are not the same as you were before. You are now referred to as some as the Herald of Andraste, or the Inquisitor as you progress through the game. You can choose to play as a warrior, rogue or mage, all of which affects your story and gameplay style. As a result of the breach, rifts have been spawning all over Thedas. The rifts spawned from the breach spewed demons into the world, bringing with them ruin. Through the actions of your soon-to-become companions, you find out that you have the power to rid the world of these rifts, and potentially close the breach. With the ruin the destruction of the Conclave has brought, many people see you as the person responsible though. Others see you as a saviour brought to the world by the will of Andraste. Andraste is a religious figure in the world of Dragon Age. However, through your actions, you prove that you're on the side of good and try to put things right. Cassandra, one of your companions and a seeker, declares the reformation of the Inquisition to help bring order to the world, and thus the setting for Dragon Age Inquisition really starts. From this point on, you take part in a truly epic story as you gather allies to your cause, bring balance through diplomacy to the various nations wavering on war, tried to end the conflict between the Mages and Templars, and find out who is really responsible for the destruction of the Conclave of Light that resulted in the Divine's death. However, you soon discover that maybe there is a greater threat linking everything together. The story has you travelling all over Ferelden and Orlais, taking part in a wide variety of tasks. The story unfolds as you would expect from a Dragon Age or even Mass Effect game, with various dialogue choices allowing you to proceed down the various story paths. This changes the story in different areas for different players, and will give them different experiences during your time with Dragon Age Inquisition. However, like many games that give you the illusion of choice, the end of Dragon Age will be very similar for most players. This does not detract from the game's story, as the journey you take through Dragon Age Inquisition will see many victories and failures that will have you caring about the story and its rich characters. Along the way you will form bonds with your companions as well as opportunities to have relationships with them. It's refreshing to see so many relationship options too, with someone you can romance no matter your preference. I found it fun to just flirt with everyone, as it leads to some of the best conversations. Overall, the story of Dragon Age Inquisition brings back the grandeur of the series and puts you as the Inquisitor of the Inquisition in situations where the world is at stake. It raises the bar and makes you feel that you are part of this great adventure to close the breach in the sky and bring order to Thedas. The story is a very strong aspect of Dragon Age Inquisition, and I'm pleased to say that the writing of Inquisition's story has shone brightly, giving us a piece of art that swallows you into this fantasy world. The gameplay of Dragon Age Inquisition seems to be taking the best bits from both previous Dragon Age games. There are 5 main areas to the game as I see it. The first being the story dialogue choices. This area has you making various choices to move the story, quests, and interactions with your companions along. This is pretty straightforward, but unlike previous games, there is no black and white, good guy, bad guy responses. In previous games, you were sometimes restricted to playing all good or all bad, otherwise you would get mediocre results. Now you have to go on feelings to how things are proceeding with your companions. I must say too that their opinions on various matters are surprising. The second aspect is combat. You as the Inquisitor at the start of the game have the option to play as rogue, warrior or mage. Warriors tend to be two-handed damage dealers or sword and shield tanks. Rogues are either archers or dagger using assassins. And lastly, mages are wizards and sorcerers with powerful spells at their disposal to both support teams and deal damage to enemies. This has you as the Inquisitor and 3 out of your 9 companions accompanying you into battle. In combat you can take control of the Inquisitor personally, with the AI controlling the other 3 teammates. You are able to switch to your teammates too at the press of a button in order to control them and leave the Inquisitor for the AI. You can also preset the AI to act in certain ways before combat starts. This is great on the lower difficulties as it gives you more of an action orientated feel to the combat. However, on the harder fights, sometimes you have to make use of the tactical camera. This is a feature that PC users have always had, but a first for console players. Tactical camera basically pauses time, allowing you to set up tactics for your entire team. This gives you greater control over battles, making them seem a bit more like an RTS at times. This mode is not for all, as it really does slow the pace of combat down. You will tackle a wide variety of enemies too. Tiny woodland creatures, zombies, demons, to mighty dragons. Most of the enemies in the Dragon Age universe make an appearance in Inquisition. The third aspect of gameplay is the character management. Like most RPGs, you have to manage your characters, giving them gear, weapons, and a variety of abilities. Dragon Age Inquisition is no different. You get a lot more options in terms of gear than you did in Dragon Age 2, but less than in Dragon Age Origin. I do like the talent trees in this game, and it gives you so many options for different builds for your characters. It's well worth sitting down and thinking about builds, especially for the harder difficulties. However, unlike other Dragon Age games where you had access to all the abilities in combat, you only get to map 8 to hotkeys in Dragon Age Inquisition. The fourth aspect is exploration. When you're not fighting in combat, you are exploring the world. Unlike previous Dragon Age games, Dragon Age Inquisition gives you semi-open world areas to explore. Dragon Age Inquisition gives you 2 huge countries, and they are divided into smaller areas. But these areas themselves are not small. You do not have to tackle these areas solely on foot either, as you have access to various mounts to ride. While you wander through these areas, you will come across various side quests, collectibles, and crafting materials to collect. It will have you occupied for sheer hours. The last aspect is the War Room. Here you can plan out missions for your Inquisition agents to complete, giving you access to political influence, gold, items, or unlocking new regions to explore. These missions are worth doing and take real time to complete, so a good tip is to start the longer ones before going to sleep so they're done when you wake up. I do like this aspect of the gameplay, but I wish it was a little bit more flushed out. Overall, the gameplay is not bad. It has no major flaws in my eyes. The dialogue options are fine and give the illusion that you are crafting your own story as you progress through the game's story. The combat is solid, and if you put the time into learning how the different abilities work, it can be really rewarding. Equipping your Inquisition inner circle is always a joy, especially when you get new shiny loot to dish out. Exploring is a little odd. It's epic in terms of the areas you can explore, but sometimes the jumping feels strangely out of place, at least for me. Lastly, the war table is a welcome bit of strategy that could be more flushed out. All of this being said though, the gameplay is fun and will keep you coming back for more. Dragon Age Inquisition has multiplayer. Some people asked if it's similar to Mass Effect 3's multiplayer. Well, it is in ways. As a whole though, the Dragon Age Inquisition multiplayer is more similar to something you would find in a World of Warcraft dungeon or Diablo 3. You are part of a small Inquisition team containing you and 3 other players as you tackle various dungeon areas filled with enemies. It is a combat heavy mode, so if you enjoy the combat of the single player, you will love this mode. You get to pick one of 12 characters, and unlike Mass Effect 3's multiplayer, these characters all have backgrounds and personalities. This is a very nice change, as the various personalities will converse during missions at times. The only downside is that you only start with 3 of these characters, one of each class, and it does take time to unlock the new ones. If you want more information on the Dragon Age Inquisition multiplayer, I suggest you check out my beginner's guide to the Dragon Age Inquisition multiplayer. Overall, the multiplayer is fun. It's slow at times and frustrating when playing with random players, as teamwork is needed to get through these dungeons, especially on the harder difficulties. But people learn with time, and the multiplayer is a great place to try out specs that can even be used in the single player. The presentation of Dragon Age Inquisition is a bit of a mixed bag. On the whole, it looks great. Environments are detailed, and each area looks unique to that part of the country it's related to. Character models are detailed in cutscenes, but when exploring look a little less complex. The combat particle effects are wonderful and makes the battles seem spectacular, especially when you're at high level with a lot of higher level abilities. The lighting is also worth a mention and makes some areas in the world really stand out. However, graphically there are some bugs. Sometimes there is issues with character models clipping through one another. Sometimes an out of place object or character, or even sometimes there's a issue with the cutscenes pausing and missing out bits of dialogue. These issues I am sure will be fixed with time, with patches, and they don't detract from the game as a whole. The voice acting is very good too, with a whole host of different voices drawing you into the Dragon Age universe. Each character is portrayed very well by their voice actor, and everyone should be given credit. The soundtrack is another area that shines. From the epic battle music to the tavern songs, a lot of love has been put into it. I must say too that the song Until the Dawn, which is a running theme through the game, gets a special mention here. Overall, the presentation has had a lot of tender care put into it. Although there are some graphical glitches and annoyances here and there, it does not break the game by any means. All of the game's audio deserves credit, from the voice acting, sound effects and soundtrack. The presentation does a great job of immersing you into the world of Dragon Age. Overall, Dragon Age Inquisition was a joy to play. It's a return to form from BioWare too. There is not a lot I can say that's bad about this game. Yes, there are flaws here and there, but it didn't lessen my enjoyment of it. The story has an epic feel to it, and although not everyone will be happy with the ending, I was satisfied, and it made Dragon Age Inquisition's story one of the best I've played in recent years. The gameplay is solid enough. Once you have access to the more advanced talent trees and high level abilities, you will enjoy discovering all the various cross-class combos and specs you can have. If you put time into the gameplay of Dragon Age Inquisition, the more rewarding it feels. The multiplayer might not be everyone's cup of tea, but it was a blast to play. There are microtransactions, but these are to only buy extra loot chests, which in all honesty is not that big a deal, especially when these loot chests can be earned by just playing the multiplayer normally. I'm hoping that the multiplayer will be supported with new maps and characters, like how the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer was handled. Lastly, like I said, the presentation gives us a world we can immerse ourselves in while taking part in this epic adventure. The single player of Dragon Age Inquisition, without rushing through it and taking my time doing all side activities, took me around 100 hours to complete. On top of this, I spent countless hours playing the multiplayer. If you love RPGs, the previous Dragon Age games, Mass Effect, or just games that have had a lot of care and attention they deserve, then Dragon Age Inquisition is worth it, as it's an adventure I have been proud to be a part of. Anyway, I've been Darcblade bringing my video review of Dragon Age Inquisition. Hope you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching, subscribe and like for more.
Shadows fall and hope has fled. Still your heart, the dawn will come. The night is long and the path is dark. Look to the sky, for one day soon the dawn will come. The shepherds lost and his home is far. Keep to the stars, the dawn